All right. So today is the 26th. We're going to be working today with combination of rules for derivatives. Specifically, we will be working on level 2 today. Now, as I said, it is very hard, actually it's impossible for us to create a list of the ways that these problems can be written, because there are just so many different ways. We can have quotient and chain, quotient and quotient, product and product. Like, there are just so many different ways that we can write this that there's no way that I can give you steps or rules for this. However, I can give you guidelines. Kind of like what I did for level 4 of, what was that, chain rule? Level 4 chain? Yeah. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to write the guidelines on the side, but I will be referring to the example on the back of your do now. What was that? Was it f of x for level 2? Yes? F of x is equal to 6 times x squared minus 3x. Now keep in mind, this is just an example. This is not an end-all be-all for the problem, okay? This is just an example, and we're relating the guidelines to the example. Okay? So, as I said, these will have a combination of rules that we have done so far. So the rules, other than power rule, because power rule is just a given. The rules are product, quotient, chain, and special rules. Excuse me. So, thank you. So the first guideline is to find the main rule. Now, when I talk about main rule, main derivative, main function, I'm talking about the thing that is made up of smaller things. Sorry.
So right now, you're writing these notes. We haven't gotten to the example sheet just yet. We're going over the general notes. So this is an example that isn't on your practice sheet. So you should be writing this on notebook paper.
Okay. So again, the main rule, the main derivative, is the thing that is made up of smaller parts. So if we look at this function right here, what is the main derivative that is made up of smaller parts? Or main rule? Or main... Okay. First question, do I have any special functions? No. Second question, do I have a product? Do we know what a product is? Okay, that's the problem. Mathematical definition of product is when 2 or more things are being multiplied together. Do we have 2 or more big functions being multiplied together here? Okay.
A lot of the times, I'm sorry.
Yeah, do we have a product?
So in this case, yes.
Incorrect. This is not product. Remember, can I see your do now? If you look on your do now number, it's got to be number 2, right? Number 2, yes. Number 2 is a product, I see. I'm good. Number 2 is a product. Does this look like the product rule? No. What does this look like? Quotient rule. Thank you. So the main one is quotient. Can you see this color?
Yeah.
The quotient is being made up of smaller parts. This is made up of smaller parts, right? Our numerator is one part, our denominator is the other part. In this case, the quotient rule for derivatives is u prime v minus v prime u over v squared. Do you have to have these memorized in this class? No? Okay, yes, but is it required for you to memorize them? No. If you don't have them memorized, where would they be?
In your notes.
Not yes, in your notes, but also on an assessment. Where should you? Can you hold that up, please, Dario? Thank you. On that sheet, if you do not have that sheet or you've forgotten that sheet, where would that sheet be? Where specifically? In the orange folder. So if you don't have one and you need one, thank you, Aldo. Please grab one now.
You are going to need it for the foreseeable future. There are some, hold yours up again, Daria. Does it have the
Oh,
black one?
what?
Other way.
No.
Oh, okay, never mind. There are some that say class copy,
Orange folder, orange folder.
orange folder.
Oh, I still like one.
Do you need, you have the wrong one, Aldo. No, this. Anybody else need one? Keep in mind that this is a classroom copy. Put this back, whenever you put your calculator, put this back.
Oh, yeah, go. When he comes back, go. Go. Are there any questions now? Dario, do you understand now that this is quotient and not product because there aren't two things being multiplied together? Okay. All right. The second guideline is to make sure that you're staying organized. Because you're going to have other rules. You're going to have a lot of other rules, especially when it gets to level 4, that you're going to need to use. So you want to stay organized. Because you might need... He did, but he wrote it next to other people, and I know that there were other people who asked before him. Because you're going to need to rename, if you want, variables. Did I spell variables right? I think so.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Thanks. For other rules. Now, somebody in my last period said that they just want to use U and V. That's fine. Just if you need to, and for us to grade, try to label, I'm doing product rule here, and quotient rule here, and chain rule here, or whatever. So that this way we know and we can see and give you partial credit if you did something wrong. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Like in question 3.
Like in question 3, yeah. Guideline 3 is to make sure you know the rules for the other parts. Now, when I say know the rules for the other parts, I'm not talking about power rule. I'm talking more specifically about special functions, if you use chain again, if you use product again, if you use quotient again. So in this example, though, I am using chain rule. The derivative rule for chain rule is v prime, u prime, v. And if all you're doing is using u and v, you might get confused. So at this point, again, this is why you need to stay organized and or label the other letters, or rename them. I'm sorry, not label the other letters. So for example, I can use S prime, R prime, U. Either stay organized and or rename. Sorry. Am I going too fast?
No.
Can I go down at least? Right there? Is that okay? right there. Okay. And the last thing is what students always forget, because they're taking all these derivatives and they're doing all this work, they forget to go back to the main rule. So make sure you're putting everything together. So write the final answer or derivative using the main rule in number 1. So in this case, it would be quotient rule. When you're done writing this down, Ms. Stevenson, pass out the examples, take out the examples. This is 5th period, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We ready? Okay. All right, let's look at the first example. On the right side of your examples, I wrote the word rules. So if you, actually, not if you, I suggest you write down the rules other than the power rule that have to do with this problem. So if we look at this problem, what are the specific rules or derivatives we will need? Anyway. Product, okay?
How do you know it's product? I mean, they all use U and V for the most part. How do we know specifically that this is product? The formatting, very good. There's 2 parentheses together with nothing in between.
Jeanette? What's another derivative rule we will need? What is another derivative rule? It's not a, there's no division sign, so we can't use quotient. Chain. How do we know we're going to be using chain? What? Right, but we don't have to always have chain in it.
What does chain rule consist of? We know we have U and V, but what does the U and the V stand for with the chain rule? I'm not sure, Ms. Stevenson. What should I do? Look at our formula sheet.
Or the notes from 2 weeks ago. It specifically tells you when we use the chain rule.
So chain rule, U is something specific, V is something specific.
Nope, has nothing to do with g of x.
No. What part of this particular problem are we using the chain rule on? The first parentheses or the second parentheses?
Yes, Julian, the second parentheses. Why?
What's different about these parentheses? What?
It doesn't have brackets. It has something else that tells us it's chain.
Oh man, throw something up. Is it by the power tool like the square?
Yes, this square tells me that it is chain because I have a function inside of another function. I have a function inside the square function. Good, Ronaldo. Okay, that's how it tells me it's chain. And for those of you who know it already, I can see the irritation on your face of like, why do I have to answer this again? So we're going to be working with product and chain. Actually this is an I do, so I will say it. When I'm looking at this, I see that this thing is made, this whole function is made up of smaller parts. And it is made up of smaller parts by creating a product. So I know that product is my main function. So I'm going to put a star by the main function because that is what I know that my final derivative will need to look like. So my product rule will be u prime v plus v prime u. So I know that my final answer when I get to guideline 4, I need to make sure that I use every part to put it in this format. So I'm going to put a star there. So I'm going to label u and v. Here is u. Here is v. Just like normal. Labeling u and v. U is equal to 5x squared plus 2. V is equal to x squared plus 2 all squared. So like Ronaldo said, that tells me that I need to use the chain rule because of that square on the outside of the parentheses. Questions? Okay, and now I'm just going to take the derivatives. U prime here is 10x, so I'm just using the power rule here. V prime now is going to be more complicated because it is the chain rule. I do not want to use u and v again, so I'm going to use r and s. So I'm going to rewrite the v prime to be, or not to be, s prime. And I will show you where I'm getting this from, okay? I will show you where I'm getting this from in a second. S prime, r prime of s. Because normally, the chain rule is v prime. Can you see that color? Okay, I will write it there. V, can we see that one? Okay, normally it's v prime, u prime of v. So I just changed the v's to be s's and the u's to be r's. That's all I did. And I'm going in alphabetical order so that I don't get confused. Are there any questions? Okay, now I need to separate my r and s. R is going to be parentheses squared. S is going to be, or not to be, x squared plus 2. And I'm just going to take the derivatives now. R prime is 2 parentheses 1. S prime is 2x. Are there any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Okay, so now that I have my R and S, I'm just going to use my R and S to put in my V prime. V prime is equal to S prime, R prime, S. So this whole thing is my V prime. This is why it's really important to stay organized. Okay, so now I've found my derivative of u. I've found my derivative of v. I need to go back because I've already done chain. I've done chain, it's over. I need to go back and make sure that it is in the product rule format, Mia Zoe. I need to make sure it is in the product rule format. It is not in the product rule format yet because it's still only separated by u and v. So, f prime of x. All right, let's see if I can maintain these colors. I probably will not be able to. 10x. v x squared plus 2 squared plus v prime 2x parentheses 2 x squared plus 2 close parentheses. Lost my train of thought already. U. Yeah. Okay, I think that's right. U prime, V, V prime, U. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna label these now so you can see where it's coming from or where it's going. These are not division signs. I don't know how many times I have to say that. These are not division signs. This is just me labeling the different parts, okay? So on your assessments, like, use these notes as a guideline, not exact. Stop thinking that everything is exactly the same. V. V prime. U. Questions? All right, I'll give you guys some thinking time, some processing time, some finishing writing time. Please let us know if you have any questions before we move on to the next example. Sabrina. I still see people writing. Julian, you writing this? Okay. So how are you writing this? Or you're just moving on? Okay. Julian, let me know when you're ready. You ready? Okay. I need to find the second example. There it is. Here we go. Okay. Y equals x cubed plus 5, 4x to the 5th plus 1, all cubed. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright, seniors, let's see if I can get help with this. What are the rules that I'm going to use? Chain. What else? And quotient. Anything else other than power? That's it. We've got chain because we have a function inside of a function with the cubed, as Ronaldo said, and we have quotient because we have division. Okay? All right. So, can anybody tell me, gentlemen?
Yeah, people are talking while she's talking.
What my main rule is, Elvis. So think about what makes up the what makes up the bigger rule? What makes up the bigger thing? It's not quotient. So then it's chain. Yeah, because it's on the outside. So these two things make up the bigger thing.
So we're using the chain rule again.
Yeah, we're going to be using the chain rule again, but in this problem, chain rule is the main function, the main rule. The other one was product. Okay?
So our answer would still be dx.
Yeah, your answer will still be dy dx at the end, yes. Okay? Alright. So in this problem, we're gonna label u and v. What is u in this problem?
It's x squared by plus 5.
No. Parentheses cubed because my main rule is chain. So remember, u is on the outside. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. Now v is going to be what? Everything on the inside. X cubed plus 5 over 4x to the 5th plus 1. Okay? Questions? Questions? Are we sure? Okay. All right. So then u prime is easy because it's 3 parentheses square. Questions on that? V is going to be harder. Why is V going to be harder? Because we have to use the quotient rule. We haven't used the quotient rule yet, and this is why I say sometimes it's good for you to write these down, okay? We haven't used quotient rule yet. We've only done part of chain rule. So remember the quotient rule. I'm going to label these R and S. R is the top, which is the numerator. S is the denominator. The quotient rule for this will be, all right, R prime S minus S prime R over S squared, I believe. Yes? Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to use that to put together my V prime. What is R in, well, I already labeled it, my bad. Okay. What is the derivative of R?
3x. 3x squared.
3x squared, good. What is the derivative of S?
20x to the 4th.
20x to the 4th. Are there any questions on where we got that from? Are we sure? Okay. Now let's put it together. So V prime, let's use green, is going to be R prime. Do you see where, can you see me pointing? No, you, yes you can. 3x squared, S, 4x to the 5th, plus 1, minus S prime. Did I do something wrong? I did something wrong? Okay. R, x cubed plus 5. Seniors, some of you stop here for quotient rule. I don't know why.
No, because we still got to do the bottom, or
E.
we just put V with brackets by square root of 2.
Very good.
So essentially this thing kind of...
Ava, were you asking a question? I'm sorry.
Oh, so basically the whole thing?
Oh, I did. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, Ronaldo. Will you ask a question?
Yeah, so essentially the chain was having to do the V prime twice.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what it is, the whole thing?
For this case, yes. But not always. In this problem, yes. But yeah, you will need to do essentially sometimes one of these things twice. Either U prime twice or V prime twice. Okay? That's a good observation. Okay. So, we have done quotient rule. So now we need to put it together with our main, which is chain. Chain rule. Chain rule, chain rule. Okay. Whew. Here we go. So, our chain rule is V prime, U prime, V. Can you see that color?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, as Ronaldo said, it is going to be dy dx because it's y equal to. Okay. I'm trying to put this up so people can see, but you're going to have to reference your notes on where I'm getting these things from, okay? So that is going to be V prime. V prime is green, right? 3x squared. 4x to the 5th plus 1. And yes, you need parentheses. Like I was telling some of you, you're not putting the parentheses, which implies that only certain things are being multiplied together. And if you need me to zoom in after I'm done writing, I will try my best. So that's V prime. U prime. And then V. that is my final answer.
Does anybody have questions? There's not really steps that we can give you because each problem is gonna be different. You have to be able to recognize the different rules. Is anyone not sure where a number, variable, any of the things came from?
Are we sure?
Is there supposed to be a formula like which was first?
Mm-mm. It all depends on the problem. Like, there's no set rule. Like, it.
So let's say by accident the ending of the
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying if you put this first.
People are talking while she's trying to explain. I'm positive whatever you're saying can wait. If you also have a question, please let us know so that we can help you. Otherwise, all these little side conversations that are not related to calculus are impeding on the learning of other people. What are you looking at, Jonathan?
Who are you?
So Danielle asked, does it matter the order? Usually no. Because this is multiplication, order really doesn't matter in multiplication. Like 3 times 2 is the same as 2 times 3, but it does in other cases. Now, if you are following the order and you or if you are doing everything right and you accidentally mix up these two, I won't mark it wrong because that order really doesn't matter. Now, here, I know some of you are still writing, but if you can give me a minute. Here, if you switch these, then it is wrong because of that minus sign. This actually matters. If you flip these two things, this matters. Order matters in exponents, division, and subtraction. Okay? So again, it depends on the problem and what the change was. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. On the bottom you have one problem. I want you to do it in your group. I want you to do that one problem in your group. You're going to have about 7 minutes to get it done. After those 7 minutes, I will be asking for certain people to explain their process. Your homework is tonight is to do the 3 problems on the back. Otherwise, you can't do your do now exit ticket when we come in. Are there any questions on what you should be doing? Okay. So then, 7 minutes. You should be working with your group. Let me put a timer up.